I found the hospital by accident, not on a haunted map, but on an old clinic directory my grandmother kept in a tin box. The address belonged to a decommissioned refugee health center, boarded up for decades. Tonight, the rain had thinned and the compound gate swung like it was breathing. I parked beside a cracked curb, then stepped through weeds that still carried bandage wrappers, stiff and papery as old skin. Inside, the hallway smelled of antiseptic. Fluorescent fixtures dangled from the ceiling, tubes missing, leaving dark sockets like empty eye sockets. My phone flashlight slid over peeling murals from the language of a displaced community, bright birds and prayers now choked in grime. The waiting room was stripped but not cleaned, chairs stacked crooked, dust showing fresh footprints that didn't go where they should. The prints circled, crossed themselves, and stopped at a door labeled sterilization. The handle was warm, cold everywhere else. When I turned the knob, the room exhaled stale air that smelled of wet paper and iron. In the sterilization bay, the autoclave door sat slightly open. Condensation traced slow drip lines down the glass, like tears that never fall all at once. The timer panel was dead, yet a low ticking pulsed from deeper in the building, rhythmic, patient, rising when I held my breath. My flashlight shook from the effort not to look at something matching me. I followed the sound past stripped wards still heavy with stories. On the floor lay faded patient wristbands in a scattered line. Different names, all cut clean. A tag still clung to a peeling notice board. Beneath it, a hidden pocket held consent forms with blurred ink and sharp handwriting, as if they'd been written today. One signature had been traced over and over. I tried to tell myself it was vandalism, careless paperwork. Then I heard a controlled breathing from the stairwell. I leaned in. Only the breathing, then a shift in distance, like the speaker moved behind me without touching the air. The air conditioner grill clicked on the landing. Once, twice. The ticking synchronized with my heart. I went toward the maternity wing. True crime teaches you the worst decisions hide where people are most vulnerable. The ward looked untouched and wrong. Cribs sat in a ring around an empty bassinet, each with a small paper tag tied to the rail. Same displaced language as the murals. I couldn't read them, but the dates weren't dates. Times repeated and staggered, counting down to something that needed multiple chances. A security camera hung above with its lens covered, as if someone had tried to hide an eye. When wind hit the broken window, the tags fluttered and rubbed together into a whispering pattern. My mind insisted it meant something, closer to a throat clearing than a lullaby. It paused when I stared, started again when I looked away. My boots scraped metal. Instead of debris, surgical instruments were wrapped in cloth and laid neatly on the floor like an offering. The cloth was damp. Oil clung to my fingers. Underneath, scalpel, forceps, and small scissors sat oddly clean. On the wall, a chalk symbol, a circle with a line through it, was barred. Beneath it, carved into the paint like a key, were words I recognized from my grandmother. Stop opening what you close. When I read it aloud, the hallway lights flickered, as if the building had been waiting for permission. Then the ticking stopped. In the quiet, water ran, steady and close. I found a utility room with rust-scarred pipes. A warm plastic bottle sat on a shelf, labeled in marker with fluid type, and a date traced over and over. Behind it, the valve handle turned slightly, slow like fingers testing a lock. I tried to leave, but the door I came through had changed position. The corridor felt longer. The air thickened. My phone lost signal, then briefly flashed full bars. A notification appeared with no sender name. Do you want to know why it keeps starting? Somewhere above, a bell rang once, then paused long enough to feel like a test. The second bell followed. The sound traveled through the walls and landed in my bones. The third bell didn't come from a distance. It rang from inside the sterilization bay overhead, the metal vibrating under my feet as the autoclave door closed by itself, slow and deliberate. I rushed back through the hallway. Where the footprints had stopped, lines were drawn around them like measurements. In the sterilization bay, the autoclave sealed with a soft click. Power indicator lights glowed though nothing was plugged in. A green light blinked once, twice, then steadied. A display flickered through times that matched the maternity tags. The ticking returned faster. Each pulse came with a faint scraping, like something moving along rails. My flashlight caught a mirror panel meant for staff checkups. In it, someone stood behind me, hooded, masked, too still. I spun around. Empty. The mirror showed the figure again, closer. The outline tilted its head as if listening, then raised a hand. A fingertip pressed into the glass from the inside, leaving condensation to write one word. I backed toward the exit, but the hallway had changed. Fresh footprints led to the maternity ward, damp and dark. They were mine, except they were older by a few minutes, like returning from a trip I didn't remember taking. I couldn't trust my own trail. The twist landed cold, not as a jump, but as a conclusion. The consent forms, the trace signatures, the repeated times, the barred camera lens, the bell sequence, even my phone message. They weren't random violence or ghosts. They were evidence of a system built to erase, a ritual of containment. The bassinet lid slid open without sound. Inside, wrapped in cloth, was a wristband. My name was on it. The ink matched the traced handwriting, and the date aligned with tonight. My entry, my discovery. The building didn't want to scare me. It wanted to finish the cycle it had started long ago. As the autoclave released its final hiss, the air turned warm, then sterile, then oddly comforting. A soft lullaby filled the halls. The whisper translated into a tune my grandmother used to hum while she cleaned cuts. I understood why she never gave the clinic name, because if you see how it works, it knows you can find it again. Then the third bell rang once more, inside my chest, and my phone screen lit up in my hand with a message I had not typed. "Come back, we are ready."